Disaster Resilience Foundation. Butch is the president of the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation, or BIARI, a private sector disaster management organization that includes many of the major business groups in the country. PLDT's parent company received the 2016 Prince of Wales Business and Community UPS International Disaster Relief Prize for its work in mobilizing PDRF during Super Typhoon Haiyan. PDRF currently operates the world's only national private sector emergency operations center. Butch is also the president of Idea Space Foundation, a technology accelerator for early-stage startup companies. He heads QBO Innovation Hub, a public-private partnership launched to mentor startups. He is concurrently president of the Pacific Global One, a firm formed from PLDT's aviation group. Previously, Butch was first vice president and special assistant to the chairman of PLDT and president of PLDT Smart Foundation. Prior to joining PLDT, he served as vice president, communications for TLC, Vietnamese International, a food company in New York and Paris. He has worked with several New York public relation firms in a financial startup and a financial startup there. A graduate of Ateneo de Manila University, Butch has an MA in Journalism and Communications from University of Florida. He was a recipient of the College of Journalism's Alumnus of Distinction Award in year 2000. He returned to the University of Florida in 2003 as the Freedom Forum Distinguished Visiting Professor. Please welcome Mr. Butch Meily.
Thank you. The introduction is longer than my PowerPoint, actually. But thanks. Anyway, I'd like to talk about what's happening in the Philippines. And as you see from this first slide, and I'm sure everyone in this room has their own particular story, whether it's an earthquake, whether it's a typhoon, whether it's a volcanic eruption. We have all, in one way or another, been affected by it, either when we were young or older. But for us, not just in the Philippines, but for the countries in the Ring of Fire, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when it's going to happen. And that's what makes this whole conference so relevant. Whether you, I guess what I mentioned, the Philippines is one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world. So as a result of a disastrous flood in Metro Manila in 2009, which took much of that city by surprise, because at the time we had no Doppler radars. So people knew there was going to be a storm, they knew there was going to be a flood, but they didn't realize how devastating it was going to be. And many people left that day in their cars on the way home on that Saturday. They found out that the roads had turned to rivers, and many of them died in their cars. And as a result of that, the president at the time asked for a public-private school, a public-private partnership. And the private part of that was the Philippine Disaster Resilience Foundation. What we tried to do from the beginning was to make it as inclusive and as possible, and to make it a neutral place where companies that didn't necessarily work together outside, that would actually compete with each other, companies like Coke and Pepsi or Manila and Manila Water, would be able to gather around a common table and face the problems of either a natural or man-made catastrophe together as one. And so I believe that every time that people see even a photo of our board of trustees working together, they know they come from competing companies, but to see them together gives them a sense of hope. One of the most important things we did was to set up divide our 84 companies into 8 clusters. You see these on the screen. But these are the lifeline clusters. What do people need in order to survive? It's water, power, telecoms, search and rescue, early recovery. The whole idea is that much of these sectors are privatized here in the Philippines. So the government cannot do it by itself. They also need everyone. They need academia, they need civil society, but they also need the private sector to participate if we're going to be able to prepare for and respond to a crisis. And what we're relying on here is not necessarily monetary donations, but we're looking for the core expertise of each company, whether it's in water or power. That's what we're looking for from them, is that they can respond in a way that takes advantage of their expertise. We'll see. As mentioned in the intro, we did build, after a few years, we decided to build the world's first ever national private sector emergency operations center. And the whole idea is that we do not issue public warnings. We're not allowed to by the government. They always take the lead. But we do send out advisories to our members, and we do use this as the focal point for many of our activities. I believe you'll be going to visit there this Friday, and I'm looking forward to having you over there, because it's a interesting place. These are some of the functions. Just like any other operations center, we monitor the different hazards, whether it's not earthquakes or volcanic eruptions, or especially typhoons. But what makes this different is that we're able to plot the private sector facilities, cell sites, ports, hospitals, power plants. We're able to plot that information that we get from our individual companies and put it on these maps, so we can provide information to our companies. They can be sitting at their offices watching all this on a computer, and we'll give them an entire report on what's happening or what the hazards are that they're facing. But because they compete with each other, you've got to have them password protected and encrypted. We also don't necessarily provide the private sector information to the government. One of your participants, Arvin, and I can see he's really interested, is, if you have any questions, you can ask him about this. He helped design this. We do participate in disaster response. Many of the companies want to brand it. So many of the companies' foundations will do it on their own. But we want to be able to coordinate it, because what we saw during Super Typhoon Haiyan was that there's a lot of duplication. Some towns would get too many fishing boats to replace the ones which were lost. Others would get none. And what we also try to do is to make sure that we're politically agnostic. Because we've noticed that in the past, certain governments will give aid to towns of their own party, but not necessarily towns of the opposition party. So at least to the private sector, we're able to cut through that. And again, here's a couple of examples of how we use our core expertise of our companies. First of all, we've got a company here, both Aboitiz Power and Veralto, two of the major distribution companies. They send their linemen, which are usually based in Manila, to any province which is hit by a disaster, with the permission of the local government and the local electric franchise. And the idea is that they'll stay there, they'll live there for weeks on end in order to help restore power. At the top there, on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see UPS and also NLEX trucks. And we use these to deliver government relief goods to the different areas. So they tap us in terms of our resources. Now, what do we do when we don't have a crisis? We train, we train, we train. And you see that at the center. We spend a lot of time on different training sessions. And you'll see here, this is called Prep Lab. Family preparedness is one of the most popular. in that each employee of the participating companies gets a report card. They just tell us where they live, and then we give them a report card listing their hazards that face their residents. In fact, we discovered that some of the people, their houses were built on earthquake faults, so it was important to them. We also trained their families, and the companies would pay for this because they built loyalty on the part of the different employees. In fact, some of the human resource departments use this training because they can plot out where their employees live. The prediction is that Manila will be divided into 4 parts. And so what they want to do is make sure that they hire people so that they have people from the different parts of Manila, so that if anything happens, at least some people will report for work. Now we also have REDAS training, which is we do with the Philippine Volcanology Institute. It's available to everybody, by the way. And that's for volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. We have weather training, which is provided by the Boytis Group's Weather Philippines Foundation. And here, everything you want to know about tropical weather patterns. Most popular course is business continuity. And the whole idea here is that 80 to 90% of Philippine economy is driven not by the big companies, by small and medium-sized enterprises. Because many of the big companies have outsourced their services, so they can't function. So companies like Unilever and other big companies, Nestle, many of them will pay for their supply chain. Their retailers, their distributors, the suppliers be trained so that they can recover quicker and so that they can prepare for the oncoming crisis. There are stories of a farmer, for example, in the shadows of Mayon volcano, who attended one of our conferences, and because of it, he was able to cover his plants with plastic and save them from the lava flow and the ash flow. We also work with the government, something that we're proud of. The different government agencies are using our template, and we're working with them so that they too can continue during a crisis. So because we need them to be fully operable. Recently, we also worked with the UN agencies at our operations center in terms of having them go through what we call a service continuity program. Now, this is a different type of a program. This program is called Community Resilience. This is from the ground up, because it's the people of our community who know best what the hazards are. And what we do is we do a 3D mapping exercise, often paid for by either one neighborhood or one company. And they want to make sure that the surrounding community is safe, because they realize no man, no company is an island. So they're not safe unless everybody else is safe. And so they pay, and that's how fast they work. See, they're pretty fast. But they plot out their own evacuation routes. They tell us where the potential fire hazards are. In one case, that was our own companies, because we had spaghetti wires hanging all over the neighborhoods. We had to ask our companies to straighten out the wires. But it's so useful because it comes from them. It's not top-down, it's bottom-up. And everybody participates, and it's something that's also quite popular. Now, the other difference about PDRF is that we do not only confine ourselves to natural emergencies. We have been through several, what the UN calls human-induced emergencies. First was in the city of Zamboanga. I know that there's a person representing the city here. That was in 2013. There was a siege of the city, 21 days. And then most recently, there was 5.5 months of ISIS-inspired fighting in the city in the southern Philippines called Marawi. If you go there today, it's not easy to get to the main battle area. It's completely destroyed. I mean, it looks like Syria or Iraq or someplace like that. Again, what we've tried to do is build coalitions. We set up a United for Marawi consortium made up of different civil society, NGOs, and business groups so that we could band together here. Then we focused on our core capacities. For example, you see Veron there is giving she's part of the livelihood seminar that we had there. We brought 26 placement agencies to the city of Marawi to offer jobs to those who are qualified. And over 3,000 participants showed up. And it's just the first part of that. We'll be following up with other job initiatives. We've also started, we had a groundbreaking ceremony about 2 weeks ago on a rural health unit in the largest relocation site. Because we believe that these evacuees will be there not just for a year, but for a couple of years. So we put up a health unit with equipment, which will be manned by local doctors. Another of our companies provided a comprehensive water study in the area. We found that the government was drilling for water, but they did not do the research on where the water was. So we gave them the study, and they were able to incorporate the sources of water into their rehabilitation plans. Again, key need was water. We got a company like Pepsi, and they in turn donated these huge tanks, which each one is good for about 7,000 people. And out of the 17 relocation sites in Marawi, they provided water tanks for 10. Now, at the other part of this, you'll also see that we also provided some water tanks. As part of this project, we provided water tanks for schools in the area. That's ongoing as we speak. This was a different type of project. We were focusing on education. One of the telecom companies offered to donate these, what we call e-schools in a bag. This enables teachers to teach schools and provide the curriculum, including quizzes and everything, without the benefit of internet or electricity. So they can teach on their mango tree if necessary. So during an emergency, it's important that the children are back at school as quickly as possible. It's already been a year since this happened. And our concern, of course, is the recruiting by ISIS among the young children. And again, as I mentioned a couple days ago, no one is alone. And we're all together. We can't solve these problems alone. We can only solve them if we work together. And so PDRF is part of a global initiative that was launched by the UN at the World Humanitarian Summit in 2016 in Istanbul. It's called the Connecting Business Initiative. And today there are 13 countries that are part of it. PDRF has sent people, most recently to Vietnam, but before that Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and Fiji. And the whole idea is to start similar private sector networks and link them all together so that we can compare best practices and really make this world a safer and better place. In fact, we have a webinar tonight. I don't know if you are connected, but we're scheduled at about 7 o'clock tonight. The 13 countries will be on the webinar together, and I think Sri Lanka is presenting. You'll also be presenting for PDRF. Anyway, I want to compliment all of you for being here and being part of this, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday and Saturday at PDRF. Thanks.
Thank you, Sir Butch.